All right. Welcome. I'd like to call to order the Monday, February 24th, 2025 meeting of the Tupperware Board of Selectmen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is public input. Do we have any public
Yes,
input?
You do. The contractor, local contractor.
Name, please.
Oh, Guy Pike, Middle Road. A local contractor called me the other day to find out what was going on with the police station bill. I told him the best thing he could do was to go to the video of the last meeting and have a look at that. And he said, well, since he is a subcontractor for one of the big contractors that put in a bid, he needs to know so he can plan for his year ahead. Again, I told him, due to circumstances beyond anyone's control, he needs to go and look at the meeting. That's my public input.
Good. And if you see him again, he's more than welcome to come and see
I
us.
thought he would be here today, but he's not.
Okay. Have him call Audrey if he has any questions.
I shall, thank you.
You bet. Any other public input? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of minutes. We have minutes from Monday, February 10th. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any additions, deletions,
I didn't see any.
corrections?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as drafted.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And we have meetings from a selectmen's work session on Wednesday, February 19th. They look good to me.
Agreed. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from February 19th working session.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Excuse me, I don't think Selectman Daphne was here, so. Were you here?
No, not for the work session. Would you like to,
I thought I was. Oh,
it was last Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday,
Yeah.
February 19th?
yes I was.
Okay.
Was it?
That was last week. No, you weren't.
How was I not here?
I don't know. We were talking about the police station with the chief and the sergeant.
I swear to God I was here.
Maybe you were.
And we can review the video and see.
Want me to run
There's
home?
no video for that one, I don't think.
No, that's right, there is no video.
It was,
Last Wednesday.
huh, yeah, I wasn't even aware that, okay, yeah, I guess I wasn't. Then I abstained.
Did you review
How-
the motion?
How did I not, like, I didn't even have it on my calendar.
It's okay.
I believe I emailed you, but
It's all
I
right.
can double check.
I'm not gonna hang you out to dry. It's all right.
It gets worse.
You're gonna redo the motion?
He withdrew his
Oh, okay.
aye and has abstained.
So you're gonna approve them?
Huh?
So you're gonna approve them now? You made the motion.
I made the motion.
We did. We voted already.
Right, but I made the motion and then it's abstained, so therefore my
It's
motion
not-
was
Not valid. Cancel.
invalid.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from the work session.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.
Ron Roast?
Thank you. Jack,
Yes,
how you doing?
good. So I have 9 building permits, 3 new houses, I've done 3 certificates, and I've done 88 inspections.
88 already?
Wow.
Yeah,
How's the truck holding up?
it's there. The transmission's just chugging along, so there's an issue with those transmissions and GM's doing nothing about it, so it's just, it is what it is.
Hasn't left you stranded yet.
No, it's just when it gets hot, it is a real issue, but it's okay.
questions for the code officer?
So are you gonna be here for the Sentinel discussion, or do you just wanna make a reference to that? Weren't you involved in that?
Yeah, I am my part, but fire department just, they gotta put a alarm system in it. Just part of the fire code, so they have to do it, that's all.
They appealed, they were denied. That's it.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than a sprinkler.
So 88 to date state inspector,
Yeah, EDA
Inspections.
inspections, yeah, last year.
so you're
we did
doing a
it
couple a
before.
day?
Yeah. Some days more than that, but some days not. Slow start this year for new stuff because actually it's a winter this year, so
Right.
with a lot of septics coming in, so.
And do you do those, or does it just
Well,
the state?
I review the plans before they go back to the state, just to make sure there's no issues on them.
Cool. And you're gonna bring forward an assistant next year? I think he's,
If you
Better.
want, I mean,
well, how
Up
long
to
are you
you.
gonna last? Like, although I'm not supposed to ask that sort of
I'll
question.
be here a while.
Yeah, well, just keep that in mind, that we don't wanna be
Yeah,
in the lurch, as it were.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
you're welcome,
Have a good night.
you as well.
And we don't have police yet, so let's move on to the consent calendar. We have 3 veterans exemptions. Each in the amount of this, are allowed $750.
Is there some process for reviewing,
Yeah,
you know, their service or whatever?
Audrey
No,
Good.
Jackie.
or Jackie gets the paperwork.
Okay, I was just curious.
And it's a
Look
state,
at theirs.
Actually, I did the paperwork. They have to have lived here a year prior to April 1st. So I have one in my drawer right now that we can't even put on until next April.
Gotcha. Okay, I was curious.
and I see this one has 2 on one application. So, yeah, I fully support veterans exemption, so.
Absolutely, no, I
Yeah,
was just, I was,
they both can get the, if they're both veterans,
Yeah.
they can both get the $750, so
Good,
it's $1,500.
good. So I will move these 3 applications with 4 applicants for the veterans exemption.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we're not doing the True Green,
We had done that back in November.
we did it back in November, so we don't need to do it again.
I sign it electronically, so it was in the computer and the copy doesn't print the signature.
I'm
On the
sorry.
True Green,
Yeah,
I sign it electronically because they send it to me, but when you print it, it doesn't show the signature, that's why.
Do they have to apply every year, or do they just apply once? And then it's,
Just once.
For the veterans exemption?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it carries as long as they're residents?
Yeah.
Is it, do we have a list of of everybody in town who's getting the veterans exemption?
We have a total amount of veterans exemptions that
Yep.
that we give. It's in the,
It's in the-
737.
Yeah.
Action items. We have, oh. She's here.
Hi there.
Come on right up to the table.
Perfect. How is everybody tonight?
Very well, yourself?
Good.
I thought I had it too.
Yeah, it's on, consent calendar that's put together.
There they go. Thank you. I know you gave them to me.
All right. So as far as callouts go, we had 3 for the month of January: alarm, a motor vehicle accident, and then a medical call. As far as training, both myself and Sergeant Lefebvre went to the Glock Armorer's course, which the Glocks are the sidearms that we carry on duty. And one of the classes, or 2 of the classes here, officer mental health and well-being, as well as de-escalation, are 2 of the 3 that are mandated by police standards and training to keep our certification that we have to do every year. So I've started doing those as well. Let's see here. You can see that it's kind of a flip-flop in terms of community policing and directed patrols. We have more community policing this year, obviously, with the changes once I became chief. Our citations are up since this time last year.
Yeah.
And our accidents are up as well, which I don't like to see. 2 in January last year versus 5 this year. Arrests have been the same. Felonies are 0. And our calls for service are approximately 25, 26 over this time last year.
Well, I've seen your officers roaming the streets.
Yep.
And it's nice to see them out there.
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Red Shield Road on a Sunday might not be the most effective time to be there, but it's nice
Okay.
to see them out.
All right.
Hey, see them out anytime. It's good to see.
Obviously, felonies, we didn't have any this year or last year, so there's none to report. As you know, the body worn camera state grant's been submitted. I did receive an email from the admin person down there that once it's bumped up to her boss for approval, it looks like it might be going before Governor's Council on March 26th. So we're probably gonna know something one way or the other at the end of March as to whether we have that grant for the 50% or not. Sergeant Lefebvre and Officer Baudette and Officer Emerson working on cleaning out the PD garage and the storage closet. It is a continuing work in progress. They have done a fantastic job without me asking them to, and so I think it just is some pride there to try to get the place uncluttered and that kind of thing. So we're still a work in progress, but I commend them for jumping on that. On February 13, Sergeant Lefebvre and Officer Baudette responded to Wolfboro for suicidal person in a vehicle with a gun. Sergeant Lefebvre responded with a drone. was able to get the drone in close and get eyes onto the individual, while some officers were able to approach the vehicle. Sad to say that the officer had committed suicide prior to the officer intervention. But with that being said, I have heard from Wolfboro administration staff that they would not have approached that vehicle without the overwatch of the drone. So it was a fantastic thing, and I commend. My understanding is that Sergeant Lefebvre had to kind of pilot between high tension wires and telephone poles and trees and everything else, and they were very, very happy with his performance as well as Officer Baudet's. So I would like to report that they did a great job. And
So even though the outcome wasn't favorable, it gave the officers an opportunity to assess, evaluate, and approach if necessary, and
right.
opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
As a general rule, we probably, I'll speak for myself, I would set up a perimeter. I would be trying to talk to somebody, see if I can get a dialogue back and forth, that kind of thing. And in this particular case, the drone was able to zoom in with the camera and see that the person was not moving, and he could relay that to the officers that were going to approach the vehicle, that in real time that they were not moving and may not be a threat. And it turned out that way. But yeah, it definitely worked out well. I had a discussion with Jim Bean recently. We had noted that Lang Pond was plowed all the way through. Jim is aware of who it is, had a discussion with him. Really doesn't see an issue with it necessarily, but I just wanted to, I told Jim that I bring it to your attention and just make sure that we have it on the record that obviously the road is closed to not being maintained in the winter. So people still need to go through there at their own risk and make it clear that it is not the town that is doing that. It's an individual that's doing it. And Jim spoke to him, I guess, about the fact of we don't want him to be plowing when things start getting soft because it will cause issues with the muddy roadway, and we don't want to have any issues there. So I'm just bringing it to your attention. If for some reason it's something that you folks would like to revisit, I would probably suggest, asking Jim on his side of things as to what he'd like to see happen. And if the PD can assist in any way, then we certainly will.
On one hand, it sounds harmless. But on the other hand, does it create a liability for the town?
I'm not sure it creates a liability, but it certainly creates issues. I mean, the police don't patrol out through Lang Pond Road because it's closed in the wintertime.
Right.
I don't know. There's a reason we close it in the winter. So if that, I guess the person who's plowing it doesn't believe in that reasoning.
Well, I think we close it because it's a seasonal road, and there's no
Camp
reason.
road.
Yeah, the camp road. There's no reason to maintain it in the wintertime. But if somebody's taking it upon themselves to plow town property, whether it's class 6 or not, I don't know. I'm not sure it's a good idea. What do you guys think?
The sense of creating a liability for ourselves seems reasonable, and that it would create a liability in the sense that now we got somebody who can pass there that has no business passing through there. Something happens, perhaps, if it is town property.
I can say we haven't had any issues reported to us in terms of vehicles off the road or stuck or anything like that. Just to be transparent with you
Yeah.
folks. With
Can-
that being said.
Can we get a legal opinion?
Yeah, better have
Thank you.
And then the only other thing, and it's not on your sheets, I added it today, but I have had a few citizens either come in to see me or call me, take time out of their schedule to say that that they have noticed more officer presence out there and about, and that they really are very happy to see that. So I appreciate them. I appreciate them calling and following up with me on that. So we'll continue to plug forward with that.
Good.
Yep. And I think from what I'm kind of seeing, by next month, you're going to see an increase in the motor vehicle stops and the directed patrols and stuff like that as well. It looks to me like we're on the upward swing, and I'll keep pushing that as far as I can.
Excellent.
And you've got your coverage set for voting day and town meeting and all that.
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Have you had a chance to review the PD plans?
The updated smaller building plans I took a look at. The thought that you had tasked of having me kind of write out a suggestion in schematic form. I guess my only thought on that is that I am not sure what needs to be load-bearing walls inside and what doesn't, as to what walls can be moved and what doesn't. Maybe I'm reading into it a little bit too much, but I'm not sure. So
Yeah, I'm not sure that there are any load-bearing walls.
okay,
I mean, my understanding of the construction is that it's gonna have a trussed roof,
okay,
at which point the trusses are the load bearers.
okay.
So the interior walls are, I mean, the exterior walls are load bearing.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's
I've opened it up to the officers too, to look at the plans over there. We have not located the older ones that are the full-size building, but we do have the reduced building over there that we're kind of picking our brains at. So we'll be working on that.
Okay.
As a side note, Officer Beaudet, as you know, is in the National Guard. His job in the National Guard is heating and air conditioning and HVAC stuff, and he is a licensed HVAC person. So, not that he can give an official opinion, but I mean there is some expertise there that I certainly don't have if we needed to bounce something off.
Well, we, fully expect our resident plumber to weigh in on plumbing issues, so I don't see why we should let our
And HVAC.
HVAC guy weigh in on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I
That's
get
good
it.
to know.
Just an FYI for you. I don't think that he has any of the specs of that situation to look things over, to put his 2 cents in, but if there is a question that I might have, I certainly.
If something stands out as just
Yeah.
odd and
Yeah.
needs an explanation, then let's make sure he's in contact with our architect or.
Okay.
somebody.
Okay. Yep, absolutely. Well, that's all I have for you, gentlemen.
All right. Anything else for the chief? You guys good?
No, we're good, I think.
All right. Awesome. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Take a look at action items.
Yep, we are way ahead of schedule here.
Fire.
We have 2 action items. We have a donation request from New Hampshire Lakes. They're looking for a donation of either $100, $250, or $500. And I believe that we did donate to them last year.
Remind me what they do.
I believe it is a publication. New Hampshire Lakes is a charitable nonprofit organization. Not a whole lot of information on this.
Any,
Don't they do the monitoring, Dennis?
you mean the lake, the people that stand at the launches and rinse your boat up? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. That's another volunteer operation.
Is there a website on there?
Yeah. NHLakes.org. And we also have a request for interest forgiveness on a late tax bill.
And is there an explanation with that?
Yeah, she sent a note that says I paid,
The taxpayer?
no, from the resident.
Okay, yeah.
She sent a note that says I paid this tax bill December 9th. Apparently it had been lost in the mail. I called my bank yesterday to cancel this check and was I can't read that word, that it had not been cashed. In view of this, I am asking that the interest be dismissed as it is not justified. I have never been late in paying my tax bill in all the years I have lived there, which is since 1979. Thank you.
Well, she was late last year.
Hmm?
They were late last year. We didn't get the check. I'm less forgiving. I'm gonna make a motion that we do not grant the relief of interest on the tax bill.
Did you see the amount of the tax bill?
I'm sorry?
Did you see the amount of the tax bill?
I don't care what the amount was.
The amount is, well, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to say it.
Yeah,
Huh?
we get well over 2,000 tax bills sent and received back to us. And this is the first one I've heard that got lost in the mail. If they've been here since 1979, thank you. They should know how the post office works. And I think that particular person uses the Tufton Neck or the Mirror Lake post office, don't they?
I would believe so, but I couldn't guarantee that.
Motion's been made to deny. Is there a second?
Not for me.
Not for me either.
Make a motion to grant this relief.
I will second for discussion. Any further
I'm not
discussion?
making that motion. Somebody
Oh,
else
that's not a
can.
motion? Okay. I'll make the motion to grant the relief.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? If the tax bill has been paid, we're not that far into the season, I don't have any problem relieving the interest. Any further comment?
Nope.
Anything further? Anything else?
No, it's just that if you look at the income side of our budget,
Mm-hmm.
it assumes a certain amount of interest income. And if we're gonna relieve all these, then we're not gonna have that. And not only was the expense side of the budget fully dressed down, the income side of the budget wasn't made excessive, so that's my only comment.
All those in favor of the motion to grant the relief?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And what did you find out on that? The New Hampshire latest?
So here's a breakdown of program-wide accomplishments, and apparently they do the courtesy boat inspections. So, they're the ones with the rubber meeting the road, so to speak, or the boots on the ground.
Do we know how much we donated last year?
I can't be certain.
Well, I'll make a motion that we donate the same amount that we did last year, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That works.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I suppose you could put that in there with it. It's the same.
Fire.
In a crowded
Not
room.
in a crowded room.
Not in a crowded room. You get me hearing that every time. Hi guys.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Good.
So for February 24th, 2025, do you have any questions in reference to amount of calls.
No.
So your EMS calls are considerably higher.
We're
Is it
We're
the
about
cold
on-
weather?
we're about on tap for last year as far as at this time. 2024 was 61 and 2025 is 65 for the
So I'm
call.
looking at just the EMS calls.
Yeah, 2024 was 29 and
Yeah.
this year was 34, so we're up slightly on that.
But that's kind of the trend anyways,
Yeah,
right? So it's
somewhat.
kind of trending upwards.
And inspections, they're slightly ahead of last year. Obviously 17 and that time period and 20 this year. And obviously that's as of 2/21 of 25. There's a update of some of the larger calls, obviously, that we
Mhm.
had. The baby meet and greet did go well as far as with the family and people from the state, people from Carroll County Dispatch and from 911. There were several reporters there covering the whole thing. So
Nice.
we didn't have to set up the reporter side of things, so we kind of were out of that, and so that went very well.
Nice.
If you have no questions on the calls that are covered there, I do have a couple of things as far as to go over for the facilities and apparatus. As you can see, the ongoing air leak that we had in the sprinkler system has been repaired, and they did cover the cost under the bid that they had given us, and the money that was carried over from 2024 for those items that they found deficient in the 2024 inspection. They said that, well, while they had the people there for the day, they could take care of that. And the extra cost to them was obviously the piping that had to be replaced, but the personnel were already there to do the job, so they
So
covered
this
that.
black iron pipe wore out, is that how that?
It could have been a defect in a weld underneath, but obviously
it's not uncommon.
it's not uncommon as far as for that to happen. We could foresee that in the future on something if you got bad pipe, especially in the newer stuff as far as it goes. But it's not lasting
It ain't what
the
it
time
used to be.
period. There was one part that was deficient that is still pending, and it was called a ball drip valve. And the issue that they had was that they couldn't install the ball drip valve in the automatic drain that it has in it currently because the wall was in the way. So they have another unit that they're just going to put in place, and that will be all taken care of for the same money as far as it goes. They were going to have someone that lives nearby to take care of it. So that's great. I thought it would cost thousands of dollars to get that taken care of. Rescue 1 went in for some warranty paint work, and we thought that it was going to take about a week to get done. I received a call from Lakes Region Fire Apparatus that said, "Hey, can we meet? This has got to be a little bit more than we were expecting as far as the job." The rear of the apparatus, as far as Rescue 1, when it was finished, they used some type of green soap to clean the metal as far as on it, and it didn't react well apparently with the paint. So what we were seeing is, and it has been about a year and a half now, that some of the paint was chipping. But once you start touching it, it's peeling. It'll peel right off in chunks.
Yeah.
So when I get up there, the whole side was already stripped on one side of the truck. They have to repaint the whole back of the
Oh.
truck. It is all going to be covered under the 7-year warranty, even though
it's beyond.
it's beyond that, because we had touch basis and said, hey, this is a problem. So the company stood behind it 100% with that.
That's
Alexis.
good to know.
So
That's the same company we're going with the engine replacement too, so it was nice to hear that they stood up to their deficiencies early on with a past project.
Yeah.
Looks good and favorable of us
for a future project.
Right.
Minor water leak had been taken care of by Bubber's Plumbing and Heating at the fire station, and that's it for building and apparatus updates. We're working with FEMA, and Chris can update this a little bit further as far as the hazardous mitigation plan, some of the paperwork that he's working on with that.
So we got correspondence from emergency management in August that there's some grant funding coming out for a brick building resilient infrastructure. And it really, for us, will provide about $7,000 towards the new hazard mitigation plan. Our last plan was done in 2022. It's a 5-year plan, so it's due in 27, but it takes like a year and a half to 2 years sometimes to update. So this federal funding is the same as the other projects that we did where they contribute 75%, we match with 25%. So the chief already has it in his emergency management grant line for $4,000, so that money's in there, and our plan is to use those funds that are set aside in the budget for that grant.
And what does that cover? Labor to
Labor, or if we
printing
use
costs?
LRPC like we have in the past for some of it, some of their costs, our admin costs, things like that.
And there's two different situations with that hazmat grant. Is that one, you can cover some of the costs by, if you've, I think that Chip and Mr. Pike had sat in on a group that we met, several times as far as that goes, in a period of time. And the time that those people spent were some of the soft cost as far as for this whole thing, as far as with the labor side of things. So you can either pay that 25% by that, or if for some reason you don't need that group, the last time I had submitted, everything that was needed for the last update, and took care of all of that. And for some reason, there was an issue with Lakes Region Planning getting that all done for us, and it didn't cost us any extra in the long run. I think that possibly just because it took so long, and there was constant calling to get that situated. But once when everything was taken care of, there was no additional cost with that. But I think that it probably wouldn't hurt for this round to have, a selectman, someone from the public, and a couple other different people on a team to do that again, as far as when it comes time to do it. That way, no one can say that we're not doing what we need to do as far as town-wise to make these different plans happen, type of thing. And people get to have input on that. Our EOP plan, Emergency Operations Plan, and our hazmat plan come at about the same time as far as when they need to be redone, just so you know. But I think that we're pretty well set up to get it taken care of when it comes to.
Good.
But you gotta have the all hazards plan in place to continue to get federal funds and all that different stuff. Everything has to be updated. other thing that I have to go over is just an update of the email that I had sent you in reference to the Hobby House for their request for a fire prevention requirement as a reduction. There will be no reduction on the automatic alarm system that is required for the building. I am going to look at, I have not set foot in the new building. The captains did go up and inspect it and obviously found that it didn't have the automatic alarm system, which our requirements require that it have. And we're working with the camp so that they can get that done within a certain time period. Obviously, retrofitting a new building with a system is going to take a little bit of time to get done. But they have a temporary CO for the building with a reduction of 50 people in the building versus the 343 people that can actually fit in the building. As far
So
as
this
it
is a
goes.
new building?
It was a replacement building for a building that existed there.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that needed to go through planning, or zoning or anything along that lines. It went through Jack. However, the 2,400 square foot building met some things in NFPA that they obviously needed to have an alarm system.
So how did this get through review without them not knowing that they had to put
We
in an alarm?
we were never told about the building because it went through Jack.
Mm-hmm.
He was all set with whatever he needed to do. So the whole situation as far as alarm system was missed there because we weren't told that. So the way that we're going to take care of that in the future is to put some type of permitting process in that anything assembly-wise that we will look at the
Needs
different
your review.
buildings and needs our review as far as it goes, because it's really tough to go back through after something's already built and go, oh, you need to have this, or you need to have a sprinkler system,
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So that's
So
the
did
way
you have
we-
to go physically inspect this thing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
which brings me to my point that I've been asking
Yeah.
for some time. How many people went up to inspect it?
Two.
How long did it take them?
About an hour.
So how much is that in wages?
Yeah. Whatever
Whatever
their
the
2
hourly
hours
rate
is.
But that happens over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And I've asked, and I'll ask again. Last year, we projected $10,000 in payment in lieu of taxes from the camps.
Okay.
We collected a little over 6,000. So what I wanna do is construct a letter to all the camps, and one in particular who gives us nothing year after year, and say, these are the expenses that we incur.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be offset with something, and an offset with goodwill, I don't see as a
Right.
reasonable response.
And I will give them that they are one camp that does give back to the
No, I'm not
whatever.
pointing them
No,
as a
but-
non-giver, but I think they all have to be put on notice, cause it fluctuates year
Right.
after year. after year.
And that was the same way, the same way with them is that we're holding all the camps at the same standards.
Yeah,
We've just gone through 2 major projects with 2 different camps.
and you had another one
But
coming up with.
the big
Belmont.
difference with those two camps is they came to us in the beginning,
Right.
here are our plans, does this meet the code, what do we need to
Right.
adapt to fit the.
And Sentinel had in the past, but where they had gone to Jack, they got whatever permits that they needed, they thought they were all set. And we never saw anything until someone says, hey, I think that building is already
Yeah,
up. So then you wait.
and there's any number of different, I don't know what it is at Belknap's building, but they're putting up something new. I saw a permit come through,
Okay.
Didn't know
so, yeah. So maybe there needs to be a little better communication between permitting and fire,
Right.
Definitely.
because these are commercial operations, it's not like a
Right.
house.
I think anything above and beyond residential, you guys need to review.
Need to look at.
Yeah.
It's hard to review if we don't know, so
Right.
however
Yeah.
we implement
Yeah.
that process for when they get the notification, if they can pass it, we have no problem.
You gotta work on your mind reading skills.
I've
That's
tried.
just all, that's just all there
I'm
is to
getting
it.
it in my office
Yeah.
slowly, but outside of
Sitting there, the hose on it, saying, I wonder how that happened.
So you guys will work with Jack and come up with a plan?
Yes. Yeah, we're already starting to,
Good.
to do that as far as it goes, but,
Okay.
so that's with that. The other item why, Chris is here tonight is, the process of the generators being sold.
So in correspondence with Audrey as the town administrator and Chairman Murray, we posted 2 surplus generators. We had a 3,800 watt and a 5,000 watt. One came out of a used fire apparatus we sold years ago, and the other was one of our standby generators that we would drag out of the substations. Since both substations now have permanent standby generators, we're looking to liquidate the 2 surplus ones. We posted them on Municibid, a government online auction site, as well as links to Facebook and Craigslist to try to increase our exposure. They both closed today. The newer one sold at $575 and the older one sold at $500. Both of them we had set at $500 minimums for the bid. The older one we almost set at $250, and we decided last minute to, well, it's 25 years old, but why not try? If it doesn't list, then we'll repost it, and
Right.
at noon today, it sold for $500, both to the same gentleman out of Meredith. So if you guys are all set with moving forward with that, I'd like to I called him today to make sure that he intended to purchase both. Haven't gotten a call back, but once we hear back, I'm just looking for your approval to move forward with it.
I'll move that, we'll let the fire department sell the 2 generators to the highest bidder.
I'll second.
We'll work on that.
All
And
those
then
in
just
favor?
Aye.
going forward, as we have small equipment, if we're trying to reduce the amount of storage we have and we have surplus stuff,
Mhm.
can we set a standing order to keep selling things as long as they're under like $300 or $400 without coming to the table every time, and then we'll follow up with correspondence on, and keep using the same platform and the same method, so it goes out to that bid. And if it's bigger items, over $500, we'll come back and express how you'd like to go forward.
That's not unreasonable.
Obviously, as far as vehicles and
Yeah, anything
boats.
over 500 would come back, but
Yep. I don't have a problem with it. Is there any legal standpoint for anything like that?
No, you're doing it, they write a check paid to the town of Tuftonboro.
Correct.
So it's-
correct.
I mean, as long as we're not,
Bank checks, not just a personal check.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's fine.
Okay, fine with me.
That way we may be able to do away with some of the stuff that is just
I don't think we need a motion
been
for that, do
stored
we?
there for,
I don't think we don't need a motion for that. No.
so. Did you have anything further?
Do with the description on it, it has been left at the library for voters to look at. And then I gave you the 2025 budget that shows the department request, your approval, and the budget committee approval. If you want other documents for the 11th, let me know. If you want to look at the engineering qualifications beforehand, or I'll bring them. And the other thing I was gonna give you is, this is what is out there in support of
I have
the,
that.
in support of the police station.
Where did this come from?
It was put together by people who supported the petition warrant article.
So this is what they're gonna say.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. That's your one.
Sure, agent. How you doing?
Not bad, you?
All right, how's vacation?
Yeah,
Not long enough.
times it was too long. It wasn't long enough. Well, so far this year, we have been out plowing or treating the roads 26 times since January 1st. And as of last week, we almost completed the sand at the town shed, and so we're currently replenishing it. And now that it's warming up, we're going to start filling some potholes. And unfortunately, the town truck is using antifreeze again.
Radiator again?
Well, we don't know. I have not located a leak yet, but I wouldn't be surprised it's radiated because that's what was happening last time. You didn't see it because it was kind of like, burning off before it can come all the way down and hit the ground. And it's in a really hidden spot. You can't get a really good look at it.
You should be able to pick it up when you have left it for the night. Hot engine's gonna continue to do whatever it's gonna do.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything on the bottom of it. It's when you're running, it seems to disappear. And that's kind of what it did last time. It was like the pressure would build up and then it would leak. And it was leaking at the seam because it's half plastic and half aluminum, and they glue it together.
Well, there's super glues out there.
Yeah.
If you're not seeing it on the ground,
Yeah,
then let's make sure it's not getting burned up in the engine, which is a.
correct. We checked the oil. It's not gaining any oil or changing color or anything.
Okay.
Do you have an oil analysis done? Do you think you should send it out and have an oil analysis done, see if there's any antifreeze in it?
Yeah, we just haven't had the time to, give it up for any amount of time, but, I think I could spend a little time with it. I might do what they did last time, put a radiator tester, they put a pressure test to the radiator, and that's when they found it. I do have that tool that we need to do that, so I can pressure test it.
I think they backed it up, they covered it last time, right?
Yeah, they did
Partially.
all except for like $800, which I thought they'd be okay if they could open the hood. Without taking off the entire plow frame, because it is hydraulic and it does tilt forward, so you can open the hood. But they were, after we got it back, like, no, that's not exactly what we were talking about. I didn't want to take off the plow frame because it doesn't fit good. It takes like 2 pieces of equipment and 4 guys to put it back on. You can't just try to spread it and put it back on. It doesn't fit well. But they pulled it off, put it back on, charged $800 for that. They said it had to come off because there's a drive shaft that goes through the middle of that for the PTO. So that's why they had to do that. I'm sure it'll be the same case if we have to bring it back and we're just leaking it again. But this time I would hope that they would put a different style radiator in there.
Well, it all depends on if they're gonna cover it or not. If they're gonna cover the radiator,
Well, don't they have to? I mean, what was it, a month ago?
yeah, I mean, they really should. But this time, keep the radiator.
Yeah.
We had this conversation.
Yep.
And have somebody make a real radiator.
Yep.
Using that as a template.
Correct. Yep. But we don't know yet. All we can do is test it, see, but if it is, they're gonna have to cover it. I'm gonna go into the top if I have to.
Okay. You're at, you spent 70% of your winter maintenance budget already?
Yeah, yeah, it's been busy. I mean, we still been out widening the roads because we lost the spring on the last storm for the plow wing. So it was folding over, so we had to wait for that part to come in. And now we're out widening the roads and making sure.
Well, that leads to a question, because I've had some people tell me that they've seen you driving around without the wing. Is it because which in face value, that's a waste of time, and
Yeah, when the spring falls off, you have no choice. But
so that's what it was. It was
Yeah.
It was down because you lost the spring.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not just like a regular spring, it's a special one that's got threaded, it's got a hook on one end and it's threaded that you can adjust the tension to something.
Okay.
Yep.
And some late plowed roads, unplowed roads.
Yeah, I got any number of calls where you're on fine. The plowed.
Phoenix Graves,
Phineas Graves hadn't been plowed.
I know.
Pine Mill, Bob heard about.
Yeah, those two up there with the same truck, I had one of my trucks go down to again. It's a newer truck, it's last year. And that went down during the storm, that would put us back.
Well, it was well into the morning when I went to Wilmington Road, so it wasn't as if, I don't know when the truck went down, but they hadn't hit the road, the storm had been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, it went down the night
Petering
before, and they were trying to get it up and going and making calls and trying to do something. You know, meanwhile, everybody else was trying to keep up with their route.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is, and two things. First, we need to have a lot more clearer communications with whoever you're leaving in charge. So that if we've got an issue.
I left phone numbers, especially with the, if you call the sheriff's department, they have a list of phone numbers.
Yeah, I don't have to call the sheriff's department to get my highway department.
I know, but that's usually
Can
how.
I leave it with leave some numbers with Audrey?
Don't you guys have a
I
list?
have a list of all the numbers.
Okay.
Are they prioritized?
Then let's make it a little more available. After that windstorm that we had, the 60-mile-an-hour winds, where you had to plow the road again, one of your ton trucks, and I think it was the town truck, drove down Ledge Hill Road to go to Winter Circle Farm with his plow up. Put the plow down.
Oh, if it went to Winter Circle Farm, that looks like a town truck, it's red, it's got a wing,
Yeah,
but that's Frankie Trenchita, he's not town.
okay.
Yep.
All right, then I was mistaken, I thought that was the town truck.
I know, it really looks like one, but it's not.
Driving around Ledge Hill Road, and this drifts all over the place.
Yeah,
Those are my major complaints. And I'll have Audrey do it because you won't do it. But you bought salt and sand in December, I think. This year or this past year. But I think you do that every year. So you're buying ahead. So the salt and sand budget went over in December or whatever it did. But it's for this year. But it's not a single occurrence. Like my recollection is that we're buying sand and salt for fall in the December month, looking forward to the winter plowing season. So it does hit the year, that did hit 23, but it's actually for 24.
we were starting to run a little low, so we decided we better get something. It doesn't take long to deplete that shed, unfortunately.
And we're getting, I'm pretty confident about the warrant article that's coming through, so come on, start getting some bids together for what you're gonna do on your building.
Okay, yep, we can do that.
Some door prices and framing prices and that kind of thing.
Excellent. Sounds good.
And I won't be here when he replaces that big truck, but when you're thinking about it, you may want to think about getting 3 bids on that as opposed to just letting it go out, because we love Western Stars on that side of the table, but on this side of the table, we all love them so much.
Yeah, don't forget COVID times where Kenworth said, no trucks for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
That's
like, couldn't get one. I tried to get a Mac, couldn't get one.
all of that is ended.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's the case. Yeah, that was only truck we could get our hands on.
No, I remember.
Yep, I got you the bids. I got you bids.
Yeah.
They just weren't available, and the bids were higher.
Maybe the radiator wouldn't have leaked.
I don't know how it could be much worse, the radiators.
Yeah, I'm concerned that it's going in the engine, because that's a much bigger problem.
Let's hope not.
But there's a whole lot more warranty there than this ancillary radiator problem.
Yep, let's just hope it's a simple fix.
Lang Pond Road.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, Lang Pond Road. Who's plowing that?
It's for the heat tree treatment with the wind plow. Well,
He
he lives
doesn't
on,
live down there.
he lives on the other side though.
He doesn't want to drive around.
So at the end of a storm, it saves him a lot of time. I talked to him about it. He did say if it's causing a lot of problems, he would stop. But he said, well, the way I was looking at it is like, what if I had a house down on, what's that road there, east? Anyways, across from Cloud's Pond where he used to live, that east side, east something road there.
Eastwood Shores?
What is it?
Eastwood Shores?
Eastwood, yeah. So if you had a house down there, we don't plow it in winter, you wanted to work on it, would you be able to plow it? I said, yeah, you probably would. He goes, well, that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Well, it's a different, I mean,
Well,
that
different
road
circumstance.
goes to little houses and some kind of development. Lang Pond Road's a through road. That's what people use it for.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
And you're gonna run, you're gonna, let's take a look in the spring at what the maintenance costs are for having that open all winter, because I think they're gonna be higher. Because generally, you don't deal with a major mud situation out there, but the more they drive over it, this kind of weather. the lower
Drives
the
that
fro-
frost right
Yeah,
down.
the frost is gonna go
I mean, the
deeper.
snow will actually draw the frost out of the ground.
Yep.
Shorter mud season. We've asked for a legal opinion
Okay.
too, so.
Well, the one nice thing was, he said, if it's a problem, just let me know. So I did talk to the chief and said, I don't know if it is a problem, but I explained what was happening, so he brought it to your attention, the chief said he would. Um,
If I may,
Yeah, please.
more than 30 years ago, there was an accident between a car and a snowmobile. Not on Lang's Pond Road, but the snowmobilers do use Lang's Pond Road as a go-between with an agreement from the town. The possibility of a vehicle and a snowmobile colliding does exist. That's all I have to say about that.
No, that's a fair statement.
Mm.
And if he's plowing something that the snowmobile club is used to using as a trail, something that's maintained by the snowmobile club, he's infringing on their rights.
So he did tell me that they did call him, and he did talk to, I think, the president of the club. And he said, if you just plow one side of it, that would be okay. So he said he agreed that he would just do that and it wouldn't cause any problems. But it has been discussed between them.
Other than that increases the likelihood of a collision. But, all right.
Yeah.
I think we'll wait to hear from Laura.
Yeah.
Your budget's been squeezed pretty hard, and I don't want you finding yourself having to spend a lot of money down there in Lang Pond, put it back together in the spring.
We do spend a fair amount in the spring every year, regardless. I mean, it's a long road and
Has no curves.
it does need material every year.
And we're gonna be taking more roads over. I think this spring we're probably gonna end up with whatever that thing is down below my sister's house. Ridgewood, right?
Or Ridgefield.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all
Ridgewood,
paved.
wasn't that the golf course?
Yes, it is, yeah. That used to be, not anymore, correct.
Did you plow the one down in, off of Union Wharf yet?
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the name of that.
Farms Road.
Farm Pond Road?
Farm
Farm
Pond.
Pond, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
You do that
It's
already?
okay, I live here.
That should be pretty.
It all takes time.
Yeah. And lastly, are we gonna do a crosswalk down at 19 Mile Bay at any time in the future? You talked to Wolfboro about their painting machine.
I did not talk to them about that,
Okay.
because I don't think they're gonna lend that out, but it's, I did never run one.
Yeah.
I don't know how much is involved in it, but,
I don't either.
Well,
yeah. I think it's something we just hire out. It's just gonna be.
the short money. The short money to have lines painted.
Okay.
It's not expensive.
You know, I'd rather not take somebody
but you would
else's-
need,
Well, we have to put the light in too.
yeah, but that's solely, you'd need to do concrete pads for the posts. I think that's about it. Everything else is just, they're solar operated.
I don't know if we have to do concrete pads for that or not. I'll have to find out about that, because we do have a, you know, kind of like a pile driver you put on top of a metal post.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's good enough. You can drive them down 4 feet pretty quick.
Okay.
Everything else is concrete around it.
But you'd be all right doing that?
Yeah, that's usually pretty easy.
Okay, so can we put that crosswalk on the schedule of events, cause it's gonna, the conversation's gonna come up, and I just wanna be able to say yes or no. If we're not gonna do it, then I'll just say no.
Well, we didn't,
We don't have funding for the
I was
lights.
just, that's, you took the words right out of my mouth.
What's that?
We don't have any money for the lights.
I thought we had the money together for that
No.
crosswalk thing. It
No,
was
they-
just the design.
The design was donated.
Yeah, the chief brought it to us a while ago, and the last report it was shortly after Jamie got.
I'm supposed to remember things for a year now? Is that how that works?
Is the money out there for the crosswalk, or how's that gonna work?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I thought I heard that it was, somebody donated the money for,
yeah, so,
Elton Village Marina.
yeah,
he donated the plans, the engineering. But there's no money to actually
Can we look into
construct it.
Yes, I will.
perfect.
And I think the majority of it is purchasing the lights and putting in some kind of a base, which would come from the manufacturer. The instructions for that would come from the manufacturer, I would think.
Yeah.
Can we just get some numbers together? and we can talk about it? I mean, it's verging on an emergency.
Anything else for us?
Nope, I think that's it.
Guys all set with the road agent?
So there was no wind damage that we had to deal with out of that storm?
No, surprisingly, it's just past it going and open up the roads.
Yeah.
It kept blowing right back. Especially top of Durgan. You know, couldn't leave that for more than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my house. I was out there on my tractor with a cab. Dying in the wind.
And actually, Lang Pond, closer to the Wolfboro side, that filled in right by the lake there.
Yeah.
Between 4 and 5 feet tall overnight. Significant. It took over an hour with the big truck to open it.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, those trucks only go one direction with it, so.
Well, and you got the wind slap, so even if, I was seeing a lot of loaders around trying to clean up messes, cause it's just tough to plow.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
6 tea bags and a quart of chocolate milk to fix that radiator right up.
Right. I remember those
Good
quotes
idea.
used to get put in too.
Didn't they used to sell some stuff, some power, fires leaks? Fires leaks, you put it in, they sealed nuclear boilers with
Okay.
fires leaks. That's what they advertise it right on the tube. Selectmen's updates.
I think I covered everything I had.
Same. We just had a work session last week too, so.
Something that we might end up on our desk at some point was somebody brought up like having trouble parking at 19 Mile Beach during the summer. So that may end up being something that somebody wants to talk to us about. They were concerned that because there was so many plates from out of state in addition to the ones from here that they couldn't get close to the beach.
Well, we talked at one point in time, I think a year ago or so,
We've had this conversation a few times.
using the dump sticker as an identifier.
And that's,
Parking.
yeah.
But there is parking across the street too.
Right, and so, you know, the question becomes, do you make people without the dump stickers park across the street, blah, 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 so forth. So,
Do you need a crosswalk there as well? It's pretty blind coming down the hill.
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
that's all I have.
Yeah, and it's something that we're gonna have to probably address someday. Every year, we seem to get one or two people that say the same thing. And a couple of years in a row, it's been the same person. I don't disagree, but how
Yeah,
much,
there has to be
how much of a problem is
there
it?
has to be a significant
Outcry.
outcry as opposed to one. That means like we closed out the C&D at the transfer station, the poor old guys that don't even work for a living came in. That's not really a massive voter complaint over some action that we took. That was, one other thing I had, if we're done on that, is just, and I don't have the actual figures in front of me, but just doing rough numbers. You got $2 billion worth of property and a $5 million budget, costs you $2.50 a thousand. You got $22 billion worth of property and a $5 million budget, costs you $2.20 in taxes per thousand. So the point I was making to Bob the other day was, I'm really not interested in trying to defend that last page that Audrey put together, where it shows a 15% increase in taxes, because it isn't. There won't be a 15% increase in taxes, because we're currently running at 20% under evaluation. So that's why we're going through a reval. If we don't do a reevaluation, we are doing one, but if we didn't do one, DRA would adjust everybody's property taxes to make up for that 20% loss. So everybody's property would go up 20%. With a reevaluation, Guy's property is not going to go up 20%. Bob's property is not going to go up 20%. Mine wouldn't if I hadn't put a goddamn addition on it. Yours probably might, but I doubt it. I think it might go up 2%. The major, and this has happened time after time after time here, the major changes out there on the lake. We just had a house on Cow Island that was assessed at 350,000, sold for 780. You know, that's 100%. So I think to try to get some conversation going about a 15% increase in the tax rate is one, not helpful, and two, probably a waste of time, because when I put the rules around and the assessment's done, it's not going to be, it may in fact be a decrease in the rate. So.
So what you're saying is there's more variables that have yet to be considered.
Well, there's one big variable, which is the reevaluation, so you can't make broad brush statements about everybody's taxes going up 15%. And I'll be careful with my statements that the $20 million worth of additional housing that was built last year is 1% of our total housing stock. A 1% difference is not a 20% difference. So reevaluation makes a significant difference in the tax rate.
Well, you may get an opportunity to speak to that at town meeting.
Well, I won't have to, I think, if we don't include that last page, the one where you come up with a
It's not anywhere, it's not posted anywhere.
Okay. They're about the last column? Last,
No,
He's
there's one,
talking about the,
one page on your calculations which
Gotcha.
shows that.
well, it's at the bottom too here, so,
right,
you know, when you're looking at these estimated taxes per thousand, it's gonna be important to say repetitively when you discuss it, when you speak to the article, that it's an estimate and based on the revaluation,
yeah,
it'll probably be less. You know, like the first one, police vehicle, it's a penny per thousand. You know, it probably won't even be a penny.
Yeah.
It might be about.
Yeah, but a lot of things are gonna move, but I don't think the warrant's gonna drive this thing through the roof.
So it's almost like you take the total valuation and increase it by 20%
Right.
and divide by 1,000. And
Or just knock 3 zeros off the end.
yeah,
Right. It's the old fashioned way. But these are the elements that we need, that selectmen deal with and not other folks.
Okay.
You have until the 11th of March to come up with a question. I'll be there all day for you.
So, you all set?
Yep.
All right.
If I may again, would you like to announce candidates tonight on this meeting?
Yeah, I can do that. Candidates night is this Wednesday. Today's 26th. It would be Wednesday the 26th at 7 o'clock in the meeting room at the Tufton Borough Free Library. Come and ask questions. So, any other business?
I'll move we adjourn and rewire the building before I leave.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So Ken,